On today's Patriot Nation podcast, we are breaking down the Patriots versus Bills huge AFC East ramifications. Probably the winner of this game is probably going to win the division. So we're going to break that down with Spence from Buffalo Rumblings. It's going to be a heck of a conversation. We do have 5-minute fantasy, but screw your goddamn fantasy football teams. We all suck at fantasy football, so we're taking it out on you today. But it's going to be a heck of a show, so buckle up and cue the music. Spence, thanks so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. Love your show over there. I was on your show to start the season, right? Kind of doing some pregame, not pregame. That's wrong. Preseason predictions and whatnot. And now here we are at the end of the year. AFC East in the balance, on the line. Bills coming to New England. We're pretty excited about it, man. So thanks for coming on.
No, man, first of all, thanks for the invitation. I've been kind of waiting to be invited. I felt like, am I not good enough to kick it with the Pats guys? So, no, thank you so much for inviting me. It's gonna be fun, man. You've actually were on my show twice.
That's right. That's true. Last year I was on too, right? Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I was thinking about this today, not to jump to the game. This has to be the biggest game for the Bills. Like, right? I mean, AFC Championship game, right? Like, biggest regular season game for the Bills in how long? Because I think it's the biggest game in Gillette since the playoff game that the Titans won, right? Like, I think every playoff game is pretty big. I can't remember a regular season game that was this big for the Patriots for quite some time. And I don't know what rings a bell for the Bills and their passes. This is huge. This is a huge game.
Well, to be honest with you, I agree with you. It's the biggest regular season game in some time. But if I take it back to the last time it was a big regular season game for us, I would say it was last season against you guys as well. Just kind of getting the monkey off our backs at that point. Now, last year we beat you twice, but it was one of those things where it was like, okay, but Brady wasn't there and Belichick didn't have the team that he wanted and all that. So now, like this year, after losing to you guys a couple weeks ago, it's like, okay, look, we gotta do what we gotta do this time. So I would agree with you. I would say that this is the biggest regular season game. The Chiefs game was big just because I feel like the team was built to try and
that was
beat
a big stepping stone for them. Yeah.
So I would say that, but then the thing is, the way the season is gone, it's like, yeah, we were built to beat the Chiefs, but then we started losing to everybody else. So this game is kind of putting things back in perspective, and it's a big one for us.
Yeah, and I think we talked to the coordinators today. Sorry, Keegan. I just think
you're good.
You can wipe out everything that happened last game, right? Like they asked McDaniels about how you use, divisional matchups where you face them multiple times. How do you kind of tweak? And he's like, normally it's a game of tug and war, right? Like first time you play a team that you're really close with and you see a lot, you do some things that you have success with and you almost don't want to go back to them because you know that team's going to make adjustments. Whereas 2 weeks ago, like they run about 44 times. Like I have a hard time seeing them doing that unless they get some more guys on COVID, some more receivers. But this is why this is such an interesting game because to be honest, we all talked after that game. I really didn't take much stock out of that. It was a hard fought game. Both teams were obviously even in talent. I just think it was, who was going to be more mentally tougher, who was going to stay more disciplined. And I think the Patriots were for, 80 to 85% of that game, and is why they came out on top. Now, even playing field, this is where you can really see both teams go head to head.
I mean, you guys won, so I guess I have to just respect it from that point of view. But if I'm gonna take a step back, honest to God, and this isn't me trying to come on you guys' show and like disrespect you guys at all. I don't think that the Patriots are a better roster though. So like when you look at that game, I don't think that it was that they were tougher, or I don't think that it was. What I think is the Buffalo Bills' weakness is our running game. And in weather like that, you have to be able to run, and we just can't do it with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. So you guys have a run game that you can do it when the weather's good or the weather's bad. So I felt like that was the key to it. But if Josh Allen with that strong arm or not, that weather is on TV, it didn't do it justice. I was in Buffalo for that game. It didn't do it justice. I don't care who you are, Brett Favre, Josh Allen, you can put their arms together and you couldn't have thrown in that weather. So I think this time I feel like this will be a proper representation of what the teams are when they face each other. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what we do against Mac Jones. He has to throw it more than 3 times this time. He has to.
Yeah, and that's basically what I was going to ask, because whenever we have guests on, I like to ask, how would you attack your own team? Like, say you're the Patriots offense, how would you attack their defense? Because it's easy to say run the ball 40 times because that worked 2 weeks ago. But I think we're all smart enough to know that an NFL defense isn't going to let that happen to them twice in a row, especially a really good defense like Buffalo. So if you were the Patriots offense, how do you attack that defense?
Well, you're right. I wouldn't go 40 times again, but I absolutely would. I would ground and pound. You got to have at least 20 to 25 carries. You got to, and then on top of it, we haven't really seen much since Trey White was injured. We haven't really been challenged as much in the passing game. I would absolutely, until proven otherwise, I would absolutely try my hardest to attack Dane Jackson, even Levi Wallace. He's kind of filled in for that CB1 role, but when Trey was there, we always used to feel like teams would pick on him. So you got two guys that aren't necessarily as proven. The saving grace for us is that we have Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde as safeties. So when you have, in my opinion, I'm a Bills fan, so I'm going to say the best safety tandem in the league. But if it's not the best safety tandem, it's realistically it's a top 3 tandem as far as the safety position. Right. So that's our saving grace with Trey White not being there. Either way, that's what I would do. If I were you guys, it would be a short passing attack when slants and just things. Tight ends, the Buffalo Bills for the last 40 years can't seem to defend a tight end. You guys have 2 of them. I know one of them hasn't quite given you the.
We've been saying it for weeks. It's gonna be Jonnu Smith's week this week, and it never is.
He's had more yard. I swear, I said it to Pat after the game. Pat actually laughed. I called him on the way home.
It's true.
I think he's had more yards negated from penalties than he has all scrimmage yards all year. Like he had. I think it was an 18-yard reception, and then he had that 15-yard touchdown when they ran him on the kind of a jet sweep that got called back because of a Myers holding.
Both of them.
Every time he does something positive, it just gets negated from hell. I thought he was PFF's highest rated offensive player. I thought Hunter Henry was. Take it for whatever you want, but I think he's trending in that right direction. We do say it every week. This is the week he's going to come out. I thought Saturday would be it. Take those penalties out. Maybe as a different day, but. Yeah, right. Henry's a problem in the red zone. I think that was their biggest, their best get. I think the Patriots have started winning and turned things around because of their red zone offense. They struggled with it for years, even back when Brady was here. His final years, they went out and got a tight end that can play. It's a mismatch, and he's been, all world for them this year.
Yeah, no, your tight ends are legit. I thought Jonnu Smith would be better as well. But for me, the biggest, and maybe you're just talking offense at the moment, but your biggest free agent pickup was now I'm gonna have
Matthew Judon.
Yeah, you all know I love this guy. He has been like the best. When the Ravens decided not to re-sign him, or he decided not to stay there, I was like the first guy in Buffalo, like, yo, we need him in Buffalo right now. I don't care what if there's any rules about it. Go sign him now. Give him a contract now. So when free agency opens up, he's in Buffalo. But you guys got him, and that's the first time I can honestly say in a long time I've been jealous of a free agent pickup.
I remember you saying that. You said that before the season started. So
yeah,
that's legit. That's not him saying it now. That's legit. So Dawn, welcome to the show as a Bills fan. Appreciate you listening. Girl. We appreciate that. So and listen, here's the thing about the Patriots offense, right? And we say the Patriots offense did enough and did a great job and this and that. They scored 14 points last time they played the Bills, right? They had negative 10 yards in the fourth quarter. Well, negative 18 if you count the kneel downs, but they had negative 10 yards in the fourth quarter, right? If they lose that game, we're sitting here saying, they were unable to, to do anything later on in the game and blah, 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 whatever, right? Outside of the long run, they really didn't do much, right? And so that's for me where I kind of look at it and say, okay, yeah, sure. Like they did enough, fine, but they're going to have to do more than that, right? And we saw what Mac Jones did on Saturday, which is put them in a hole early, make some bad rookie mistakes. I was impressed with the way he responded in the fourth quarter, but it took them 3 quarters to get going, right? And so time just ran out on him, right? But so the question is going to be, can he learn from those mistakes? And I think that Josh Allen is kind of the poster child for that. I mean, for God's sakes, the guy was terrible for the first few years of his career, and now all of a sudden he's a guy that he still makes mistakes from time to time, but he's a guy who's minimized his mistakes significantly and made himself into a more accurate passer, a more efficient passer. And he still has, all those high-end stuff. So, that's something where you kind of take a page out of Josh Allen's book to kind of say, hey, look, I got to get better from the mistakes I made.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so Josh's rookie year and his second year, he obviously like I think his completion percentage was like 58% his second year or his first year. It just wasn't good. And so to your point, he has gotten a lot better with those things. This year, he's still turning it over a little bit too much for my liking. And that's, to me, that's the main reason why I don't consider him in the MVP conversation, because he has way too many turnovers. As far as Mac, you're right. This past weekend, the first 3 quarters, man, and you know, because I was joking with you on the timeline as well,
Yeah.
but like in Buffalo, we were all, oh my God, this is the Mac Jones we want to see. But honestly, I was impressed with what he did to turn it around and you know, really get the team back in the game, and he looked good. The question that I really have, and I've watched a lot of Mac Jones because I try to stay up on the division, and I watched him a little bit in college. I don't know if he really has the arm as like a NFL quarterback that you would really want long term. And I'm not saying this as a hater. I'm asking you guys now because looking at him, obviously the Patriots, you're not the Patriots from last year. And Cam Newton's my guy. He's done. He shouldn't be in the league.
Right.
But Cam Newton is my guy, and I wanted him to be successful out there, and they just weren't. And this year with Mac, the team looks different. The team looks so different. So do you guys feel confident that like going forward, he's going to be the guy, or is it, you know, and that might sound like a bad question to ask, seeing that your guys are leading the division right now and all that. But honest to God, when I watch him, I feel like it's the defense that's really giving you your wins.
I think that comes with kind of growing and molding into your NFL body, right? Like, I think we saw Brady struggle with that a little bit earlier in his career. And I also think, too, the way they've schemed some things up for him to make it a little bit easier, right? You know, a lot of the stuff over the middle of the field, not many shots. I don't think he's had to need his arm as much as, you know, maybe like Josh Allen would, right? Like, you know, it definitely pops up. The other night, that out route he threw that was picked off, I think by Okereke, whoever you say his name. You know, that's where, you know, you need a little bit more mustard on that. And I think he was late to his read anyways. And it was a great play by the linebacker. But then you see him throw a ball like that one to Myers where it's, you know, 35 yards on a dime, drops it right in a bucket, and it gets dropped. So I have no concerns about that. I think that will come, the arm strength, as he gets, you know, bigger and stronger and, you know, gets into his NFL body. But I think also this year, he's really hasn't had to showcase it because they don't have a guy that can go down the field and make plays like maybe Nelson Aguilar, but it's very limited. And second, I don't think he's needed it other than a few spots.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit lower. I mean, even in the draft, me and Spags did the draft shows and all that stuff. Spags was always higher on him than I was. I was always lower.
Loved him coming out.
Loved him the entire time. I'm a Justin Fields guy. I think he should have went number 1 overall. But I think the only problem that he'll have moving forward is the arm strength. And I think a lot of that gets lost when you talk about that. Like Spags mentioned it. He can put touch on downfield throws. He can throw it 40 yards in the bucket. Can he throw like a 10-yard out and get it there and not get picked off? I don't think he can right now. And then another thing that we've talked about is a year in an NFL system where he's getting stronger. And someone brought it up a couple weeks ago. He's been in an NFL strength system for 4 years, 5 years, because Alabama, that's what that is. That's an NFL strength system. So I don't know if the arm's going to get much stronger, but like Spack said, is he going to need it? Bill Belichick knows how to build a team around what his quarterback is. He knows what his quarterback is. He's going to be able to build winners around him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, his arm's C plus, I think, you know, and if he can get it up a little bit higher, if he can get it up to like a B, maybe even a B plus at some point, you know, I think that's enough, right? It's not Josh Allen. He's never gonna have that crazy arm. But if he can do what Brady has done, and again, I'm not even expecting Brady level, right? But even if it's Kirk Cousins level with someone like that, you know, where he's got enough to get it there, I think that's all you're looking for. And the biggest thing the Patriots will do, and Dark Blue Glow mentions here, is the brain. That's it. That's the number one, right?
If you can make the right reads and be smart with the football, like I'll take that over a big arm guy, right?
Yeah. And sometimes the guys have the arms, or, you know, the arm or the legs to get themselves out of a bad situation, right? You make a bad read, you make a bad play, and it's like, okay, I have the ability to get out of this because I can rocket that ball in there even though I'm late on it, or I can, you know, scramble out of the pocket and buy myself more time, and then someone breaks open, right? So, and those things he can't have, right? He doesn't have those things. Brady doesn't really have those things either, right? And so, but he has perfected playing the game from the pocket, right? And so, again, I mean, Mac's never going to get to that level because no one's ever going to get to that level. But if he can approach that level, that's what he has to do, right? And so, that's the way he has to play. And again, he'll never get to what Brady can do, but that's the trajectory that he needs to be on.
Yeah, no, and that, I guess that's where I was going, because he doesn't have the mobility that you just mentioned. He doesn't have the escapability that other guys seem to have. And Brady, to your point, Brady is like the GOAT probably at plenty of things, but especially at like working in that pocket like that and being able to really maneuver in the pocket to where he doesn't have to be mobile, but he's not really getting killed like you would think a normal pocket passer would. But I think Brady's arm is stronger. So I guess my concern for you guys was, so the last game that you guys played, when the 10-yard out that was intercepted, like we were talking about, those are the plays that you got to be able to make those. Even if you can't throw in a rope 40 yards down the field and you don't have the, like you mentioned, the Josh Allen strength or the rocket for an arm, you got to make those 10-yard outs, those 15-yard curl routes, man. Like those, you can't get those intercepted, because a lot of times those are pick sixes. Those aren't even just interceptions. Those type of plays to the boundary like that, that's taking it to the house. So as a Bills fan, it's like, hell yeah, keep your arm like that and make those throws. But talking to you guys as a guy right now, that would be my concern for you guys in the future.
Yeah, I think it's valid. And so that's something that bears watching, So obviously, jury's not out on it yet, right? But I think it bears watching. So a really good question here in the chat. So I'm going to pull it up here from Ali bin Mukhtari, it looks like. So he said, are you buying into the notion of the Pats getting into the Bills players and coaches' heads? And if we were to see another dominant run game from the Pats, which leads to a win, how damaging would that be for Buffalo, do you think?
I wouldn't say that the players are getting into the coaches, or I wouldn't say that the organization at all is getting into the players or coaches' heads. I think what's happening in Buffalo right now is that there seems to be a pressure that, and you guys are probably familiar with it from a different standpoint. Like, you had Brady for so long. So like every year you were winning the AFC East, and every year you were making the playoffs and probably getting to the AFC Championship game. After coming off of that for Buffalo, the expectations were so high. Like, everybody's like, oh no, this is the roster now. You got to go to the Super Bowl. And then we upgraded one of our wide receiver positions with Emmanuel Sanders. So it's like, okay, the offense should be even better. It hasn't been. The passing game, Josh's numbers look similar, but the offense doesn't operate the same way. Stephon Diggs, his numbers are down slightly. The run game isn't there. And so there's so many things that I just feel like the pressure is kind of building up. So you saw a frustrated Sean McDermott that night, because obviously the Pats game is a huge game. It's not just divisional, but everybody in Buffalo feels the weight when we play any, like when it's New England time. Everybody knows it. So I just think it comes down to the pressure that they're facing. And this is the first year that we're the hunted, because last year it was kind of a surprise. Like, oh my God, this is Josh Allen. Oh my God, he's throwing it like this. Now everybody goes into the game and they know, okay, we gotta really stop Josh Allen from doing this, and we got to do that. So I just think it's the pressure.
Do you think there's a disconnect a little bit between Daboll and McDermott? I don't know. It was a few weeks ago, but I thought I saw something on, regardless of regarding the comments from the Buffalo side, that it sounds like there might be some sort of, in terms of offense, if there's some disconnect there, right? Like maybe Brian wants to do something one way, Brian and Josh, and Sean doesn't. Do you feel that? Is that like, I don't want to say riff, but is there tension growing there? Because I think I could speak for everybody. Brian Daboll deserves to be a head coach one day. I think what he's done in Buffalo has been, and what he's done for Josh Allen is all worldly, but I don't know if is that something going on there that may be a little bit of an issue of why they were running into problems for a few weeks.
I feel that's absolutely a valid point. Everybody that I've talked to from within the organization has basically told me, like, look, Daboll wants to air this thing out. Everybody that I've talked to, like every single source that I've come to have now is like, look, it's not Daboll, it's not Josh, and not even necessarily to place the blame on Sean, but I understand where Sean is coming from this perspective. McDermott wants to He wants to prevent what happened in the playoffs last year. So when we got to that AFC Championship game, our wide receivers were beat up. Stephon Diggs I think he had like a cracked rib cage or something, and Beasley had like a fractured leg at some point, whatever. So our receivers were beat up, and we could not run the ball. And Devin Singletary fumbled, so we benched him, and then so it was just there was no run game to go with Josh. And what happens is like now I think Dermott is saying, look, we got to get to the playoffs, but we have to know how to run. We got to know how to do this. We got to have a balanced attack so teams can't take away the only thing that we do. But what happens is when your roster is built to only be one way, it's very difficult to force it's not a strength at all. We can't run. So with us kind of, trying to force Devin Singletary to be this beast, he's not Derrick Henry. He's not Jonathan Taylor. So, trying to force that, it creates that tension that you see because now, the run game averages 2.6 yards per carry for the season from the running backs. And, it's an abysmal stat. And that might be slightly off because of the last game that Devin had, but our running backs just had, even that game, I think he averaged like 3.9 yards per carry. It was his best game of his season. And,
right.
And it was 3.9 yards per carry, and it just wasn't great. So the thing is, I'm a big supporter of the run game. I think the run game needs to wake up, but I'm not a big supporter of it this season. I think this year, I don't care. You let Josh throw it. We need to get this. We need to score points. We need to get back to where we're scoring 25 or more. When we're only scoring 10 points against the Patriots, we're scoring 9 or 6 points against the Jaguars. We're scoring, that's just inexcusable to me. So, yeah, no, we need to air it out. Good point, Spags. I ain't want to call you Ryan. It's Spags, right?
Yeah, that's Spags. You got it.
I got you.
So
man.
if he wants to run the ball, why does he refuse to add a running back? Because it's been Singletary and Moss the last 2 years, basically just those two guys from what I've noticed.
Breda
That's all
did a
you
little
hear.
bit. Breda helped out too in spurts.
Yeah,
recently.
and I'm more of what I'm asking is 90% of the time Buffalo's in shotgun, right? So they're running everything out of the shotgun, and when they do, I feel like neither one of those guys really work like that. Like Matt Breida does because he can get going fast and he can hit a hole. I don't think Zach Moss feels like a power guy to me. I don't know what Devin Singletary is because he's so inconsistent with the numbers that he can put together. Why wouldn't they want to add somebody who maybe fits their system a little bit better or just a better football player overall? Because they've been riding with these guys for a while now.
I just think it comes down to the fact that they drafted him. They're both third-round draft picks, and Devin Singletary's rookie year, he made some very impressive plays that made Bills fans and the organization really excited about him. So I think, just resting on the fact that, like, okay, we know we can have success with this guy. And then with Zach Moss, again, I think it just comes down to the fact, like, hey, this is our third-round draft pick. It's his, he didn't have a great rookie year. It's okay. He had an injury and it's okay. So I think they just kind of sticking with that, but I'm almost sure, like I'm not Brandon Beane, but I'm almost sure that, this offseason coming up, you'll see a new running back in Buffalo.
That makes sense.
They need Tony Pollard. Maybe Tony, he's a free agent. If I'm him, I'm getting
Man, if the Cowboys let him go, everybody needs to be fired first.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would absolutely love to see him in Buffalo. Absolutely.
Or how about Zeke instead?
No. Keep
Zeke Cook.
Buns to me, man. He's buns.
No, he's done. You can just see it, and
So
everyone
fast.
can see that Pollard is way better. But that's what happens in the NFL. That's why a guy like Frank Gore is so interesting because the cliff never really came for. I mean, like, listen, he wasn't.
Well, the
cliff
cliff
at the
you
end
were
when
talking
he was
about
42.
for Brady, that's just Ezekiel Elliott found his way to that cliff. I don't know, and Brady
That was
never
wild.
did.
Yeah,
It's around the same time too. It was like, all right, 42 Brady. No, it's 27-year-old Ezekiel Elliott off the cliff.
right. And even like AP, like Dark Blue mentions AP, like even AP, like he was good for a long time, and then he got old. But like it wasn't like it happened overnight. Like Zeke was good one day, and the next day was terrible, and you were just like, "What the hell happened?" So
the AP still. I mean, he's not obviously doing anything now. But like I think last season or the season before that, he came to Buffalo. I think. Was it with Washington? He was on the Washington football team, and they came to Buffalo. And in the first half, this dude had like 105 yards and 2 touchdowns on the Bills, man. Like
he was
in
like
Buffalo.
36, and he was like 36 at the time.
What the hell?
He had that long touchdown run that it got Mark Sanchez's last win a few years ago in Washington. Remember, it was like a 97-yard touchdown run, 35-year-old running back.
outrageous.
And that's why at the beginning of the show, when you asked me, like, so how would you attack your team? I know that we got Starla Tulare back, and I know Tremaine Edmonds is there. And so we have our reinforcements back and healthy. But the thing is, we're still just not a good. Last year, man, Frank Gore with the Jets in the first half of that, I think the second game, he averaged like 5.6 yards a carry on us. And I remember that specifically because I yell about it every chance I get. Like Frank Gore is gashing us for 5.5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Like, what world are we
great.
living in when we're now? Again, if this was 10 years ago and you're saying Frank Gore is averaging, okay,
right,
I'm not mad. But 2020, Frank Gore? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, another question from Allie here about Josh Allen running. So I'll ask you that too. But I want to ask you, I don't want to have a discussion about it, but Cole Beasley's out. Okay, what does that do to the Bills' offense? Because I feel like, and I might be wrong about this, I just feel like Beasley is similar to, not as big as Edelman was, but is similar to Edelman was for Brady for a while, where he is that underneath guy that's always open, that is going to catch 6 to 8 passes every single game, and he's probably not going to score a touchdown pass, but he catches those kind of in the middle of the field. You need a first down on third down. He runs some little whip route, and it's impossible to cover him, and he gets wide open, and he gets a first down. I'm just curious what you think will be the impact on that team. And if you think, and just kind of you can add to that with Allie's question about Josh running, like, do you think we see Josh Allen run more than we did kind of some design runs for Josh Allen a little bit more? Although I don't know, with his foot, I don't know. But either way, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, that's both questions can kind of be combined here, because with Cole Beasley being out, you're right. He's that slot guy, similarly to like a lot of those guys that came through New England, Wes Welker and Edelman and all those guys who, like, Bees will give you 9 receptions for 68 yards, and like 5 of those receptions will be for first downs. So like those are catches that keeps the drives moving. And because of that, with him being out, I feel like if his foot is healthy, I know they try to sell it like he was healthy last week, but we didn't see much movement from Josh. It looked like he wanted to be a pocket passer. So if he's still kind of suffering a little bit on the injury front there, then I do expect Isaiah Mckenzie to have a little bit more of a role in the offense. Last season, we saw Isaiah Mckenzie be a really big weapon. He had, I think, 8 or 9 touchdowns in the offense. I want to see that again. It's late in the season, so we can't really implement him all year like I wanted to. But last week we saw him in there, and we saw he only had a couple plays where he touched the ball, but we saw the defense react to him. So I expect to see Isaiah Mckenzie kind of try to hopefully fill in that Beasley role. And as far as Josh, I do hope that because that's the part that hurts. The red zone efficiency is where we're falling off. So last year, I think we were first or second in the league in red zone efficiency. Now we're near the bottom. And the thing is, when you have a guy like Josh Allen, who's 6'5", 200, whatever pounds, and he's a stud. You ride that stud, you ride that Mustang. You don't just leave it in the garage and just sitting there to look pretty. You actually have to drive it. So I'm hoping that we do see more design runs from Josh.
I was just going to ask you that because he threw it 30 times 2 weeks ago, and I know they were behind, but I felt like in a game like that, like it was always a 1-possession game. Like they could have still established run, and I know that's their biggest problem, but I was just surprised they didn't. I think he only ran the ball 3 or 4 times, and it wasn't anything, crazy. Like that's a dude. If you get him in the open field, Kyle Van Noy talked about it after the game on Chris Long's podcast, that he's one of the toughest guys in leagues to cover because he can slide, which you have to be careful about, throwing your body at that, or that's an extra 15. He can juke. He can run through you. Like he's almost like a Cam Newton in his prime, where he's like a tight end that runs what's he run? Like a 4.6, 4.7. Like that's a dangerous dude. Man. And they didn't utilize that. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And I understand they want to keep him for down the stretch, right? You don't want to put him in those vulnerable situations. But when you talk about Buffalo struggling to run the football, I think it starts right there where they're not utilizing him the way they should, because I think that could be very dangerous for them offensively.
Yeah, no, you're right, 100%. And if you would have listened to any of the Bills content creators, you would have heard us all, like I don't think there was one content creator that didn't complain about the fact that we didn't run Josh Allen in that game. When the weather is like it was, like I said, the TV, you couldn't watch that game on TV and really understand how the weather was. Like you could literally, Man, when I tell you, you could take your hat and just throw it in the air and it would be like 7 feet away from you. That's how windy it was. It wasn't just them talking about it on TV. It was really bad. So when that happens, I don't care what type of arm you have, we need to run with Josh. It's hard to bring him down. It's hard. And you have the line we don't have a line that benefits Zach Moss or Devin Singletary, but we do have the type of line that if you're kind of designing some runs to get Josh out on a sweep, that's the kind of that every time you see Josh run one of those plays, we're picking up a first down and more. It's
Right.
rare that Josh gets stopped for a short gain or a loss when those plays are designed. So I personally don't understand it, and I'm praying and hoping that Brian Daboll can kind of talk some sense into McDermott as far as that play call. And I understand also you want to keep him healthy. Like it's especially now we have the scare with the foot injury, and so I completely understand health. But at the same time, it's football. It's football. You don't change the composition of a person. You don't change who they are. You are a runner. You are a passer too, but you are a runner as Josh Allen. You run the hell out of them. You do. That's just me.
You're right. And he's a huge guy. He's not like this. He's not,
massive, dude. Massive.
That's
He's
the
bigger
thing.
than anybody trying to tackle him.
I don't want to tackle
That's
him,
it.
especially
Right.
in New England in December. I'm not tackling that dude.
Yeah.
No chance.
So
And you know what? So
I'm
there's
with
guys
you.
around the league that have the same comments there, though. Like I get that we're all sitting here as content creators talking about
Van
this.
Noy said it.
Hell
like,
no, I don't want to tackle him. But I
Yeah.
guarantee you, there's probably if there's 5 guys in the league who want that tackle, there might be 5 guys who want it. But for the most part, guys are trying to team tackle this dude. It's not like a regular quarterback, man. This isn't tackling. With all due respect to Lamar Jackson, he's quick. He's very fast and shifty. He's not a guy that you're worried about getting ran over. Like Josh Allen has won the Angry Run Award like 3 times. Like this dude stiff arms people. He drags people. There was a run against Miami where the guy tackled him out of bounds and it annoyed Josh. So Josh pulled him down to the ground.
He did it to Van Noy Miami. They talked about it. He literally stiff armed, threw him into the turf. Like
And you don't get quarterbacks like that every year. Like, you know what I mean? Like there just aren't many in the league who can do that. You got Josh, man. Go punish some people. Go punish.
Well, I think the concern too, and you saw it with Chris Godwin, right? And Brady talked about it too, but like it's one of those things where like you almost don't like that because then you're going low because you don't have a choice, right? Like people talk about it, and Collinsworth. Right, and Collinsworth was talking about it on the broadcast, and he was saying, was it Collinsworth? Yeah, I don't know, whoever it was. It was, right? And he was saying, like, you don't have a choice. You have to go low because they're so big. And Allen's the same way. Like, you can't, if you're a safety, you can't attack Josh Allen up high. You have to hit him low. So if you run a design run and you got a safety screaming in from the outside or from the inside coming to the out, he has to go down low on Josh Allen, and then one hit. And that could be the end of the season, right? And then the Bills are done. But again, it's like, well, what are you going to do? Like, you have to take that chance sometimes. You don't want to run him on every play, but like, you have to take that chance sometimes. And like, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. Like, ultimately, like you say, it's football. Like, it's tackle sport. Like, it just, what are you going to do?
I'll tell you what, though, if you don't take the chance, then that's when you're sitting at 8-6 and impossible. Like not that 8-6 is bad because it's not like a horrible record by any means, but with the AFC being so close this year, we're one loss away from not being in the playoffs. Right. So it's like you gotta at this point, look, it's put up or shut up. Like I don't care what it takes. We got to win these next games, period.
Well, and that's where I think like where the Patriots are at, and the Bills are in a unique situation because I feel like in this situation, win or lose, they're in the playoffs, right? Because you got the Falcons and the Jets both at home. There is a 0% chance that either of those teams are beating the Bills in Buffalo. I know, but the Falcons are a dome team going to Buffalo where it's going to be like 4 degrees out. They've already chalked that one up. I mean, you're right. If you lose to Jacksonville, you never know, I suppose.
With that coach, like Urban Meyer was there, man. Like we lost to the Jags.
That was bad. That was really bad.
9-6 with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley.
That's wild.
Like what? How do you lose with that type?
That's the most surprising loss of the season. That's the most surprising loss of the season, I think. Well, that's a good name for it too. So, that one's crazy. So yeah, you're right. I guess there's no, but even still, you would think that those 2 games should be winning. Patriots lose. Yeah. They're out of the division. Obviously, they lose the division, and then you have to worry about now going to Miami and beating Miami to get into the playoffs, right? And so, it's just interesting to look at kind of what it looks like there. So, But yeah, you're right. There's a million teams right there, all fighting for the same thing. They're all 7-7, or whatever. So 8-6 or 7-7, and so it's gonna be really interesting. What do you think? So you guys got any other questions, or you want to go into?
I've got one.
Keegan's got one. I knew
Right
he did.
before
That's
we
why
go.
I asked. Go.
So a couple weeks ago after the game, I do a lot of the press conference stuff for the website, and I couldn't help but notice how the Bills beat reporters hate the Bills. Like I've never seen a group of beat reporters just trash a football team. So I wanted to ask you, I'm going to read some of them off for you. I wanted to ask you if these people are like those kind of people on the beat who we all know that they're just there to cover the sport and it's journalism, or if the Bills broke the beat reporters, because it was a little ridiculous. The Jerry Sullivan stuff we all saw with Poyer and Hyde.
We don't claim him.
Okay, you don't claim him.
Yeah.
Jay Skursky said, "Final Patriots 14, Bills 10. Frauds. That's the best word I can think of to describe this team." Do you claim him?
We do claim Jay. I think the thing with Jay is he's one of those guys that truly loves the Bills.
That must have
more
been
than his
frustrating
job.
too.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
that point of view, like
yeah,
I
think
kind
it
of
comes
get it.
down to that. Yeah.
All right. Matt Perino said, Bill Belichick clowned Sean McDermott tonight. Don't get it twisted. Beat him in his house and had a rookie quarterback throw it 3 times. What a joke.
Matt Perino is like, if he's not my favorite beat reporter, he's my second behind Sal Capaccio. Matt Perino is the most honest guy, I'll tell you that, but he loves the team. He doesn't hate the team. It's really, honestly, and you could probably have a list there. We all were disappointed. I got one more. And we all were like completely disappointed, but it's just really Jerry we don't claim. But go ahead. What's the last one?
So this one's my favorite. It's Brian Chonaki, I believe is how you say it. He said, he tweeted this out, Dawson Knox on his horrible performance. And then a quote from Dawson Knox. That's rough. Like, because if Dawson Knox ever sees that, that's fighting words.
I will say this about Dawson Knox. He went out in warm-ups, got a cool Instagram shot with his, sleeves on and said something like, I love the cold. And then he went out and dropped like 3 first downs. So it was a tough night for him. I will say that.
Yeah, no, but it was a tough night for him. But for the most part, though, honest to God, man, I think that I really think we have some of the best, and I'm a Bills fan, so I'm gonna say this, but I feel like we have some of the best beat reporters. Matt specifically, like I talked about, and Sal Capaccio, and I hate the fact that we just lost like our ESPN guy. We have a new
and Matthew Fairbairn just came over from the Athletic to New England too, from Buffalo.
Right.
Yeah, and he's a great dude. And I love Matt. Matt is awesome. So you guys got a good one over there. We all hated to see him go, especially to the Patriots, but congrats for him, man. We love him. So, but yeah, Marcel and I feel like we really have a really, really good group of reporters in Buffalo. I just think that the thing is also that on top of them being good reporters, they are in love with the team. So when they report,
I think too, that was a frustrating game, right? Like,
super frustrating.
I think people were better off to say that the Patriots broke the Bills beat reporters. They didn't break the Bills. The beat reporters kind of lost their mind that night. They were like, this team sucks. They're frauds.
Well, you know what? Again, like I was saying at the beginning, like the expectations coming into the season, and it wasn't just around the nation where the national media was saying, oh, the Bills are the team. Like at home, everybody was saying, like, look, this is the year to do it. This is your window. We extended Josh. We got all the players that we need. The offense is this. And so everybody was completely sold on this team. So to lose this game to the Patriots the way we lost it, when your quarterback completed 2 passes or 3 passes?
2 for 3.
2 for 3 for 18
You
yards.
get what I mean?
Killing it.
So it's heartbreaking from that perspective, and it's frustrating when and then on top of that, then again, like injuries and all types of, it's just heartbreaking. So I think a lot of those guys on their Twitter accounts, you're seeing their real emotions, and then when you go and actually read their articles or you go and look up what they said, you'll get a completely different vibe. They love the team. They were just heartbroken that night.
I can respect that because there's nothing worse than a beat reporter who's just there for the job and doesn't actually care.
As everyone knows, I have very rational, never overreacting takes during the game. I never overreact.
Defense needs to get a stop.
Yeah.
That's Pat's go-to. He's got that.
Pat's not allowed to tweet during the first quarter animore.
Yeah,
I love messing with Pat on Twitter though. I love like Saturday night when you guys were playing. It was the best time. Like like he was complaining about I think a holding call or something. I'm like, He cares about you guys complaining about a phone call.
Right. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the support. I will say, you talk about the Patriots, and obviously you had to, unlike years past, had to play the Patriots and then Brady in back-to-back weeks. And I really thought, to me, and I mentioned this to you off air, but like I thought to me that was going to make or break the season. I was like, okay, you lose at home to the Patriots and then you lose to Brady is just like, man, that's got to be heartbreaking for a team. And the hard thing is that, yes, it's the stigma around that, but not all the guys in the locker room. I feel like the guys in the locker room, yeah, okay, fine, it's Brady and everything else, but like those guys haven't been there for 20 years, right? Like they're fairly new. So it's like, yeah, of course we want to beat Brady, we want to beat the Patriots, but it's not like the end of the world, right? So I think as a fan, of course, it can maybe affect you more, but I was very impressed with them. Man, they came out that first half against the Bucs, and I'm like, dude, the Bills season might be over. Like the way they played, they just got they just got punked on national television against the Patriots, and now they're going down to Buffalo, down to Tampa, and getting worked by Brady too. Like, oh man! And in the second half, they came back and almost pulled that game out, and that to me showed me a lot about the Bills, because there was no quit from them. There was no, like, they were like, all right, we're not done. Like, we're going to come back and try to win this game. And they almost pulled it off. And so to me, I was like, not that the season was over or anything like that, but I was like, oh man, like they might be done. And then they kind of brought me back in with that second half. And I was impressed. I don't know if you guys had the same feeling kind of in Buffalo, where you're like, oh no, like it's the same, like Brady and the Patriots destroying us just on two separate weeks. But again, like I say, that second half comeback to me showed a lot, for the mindset of this team, I thought.
Well, I think it was split. I feel like you have fans who obviously still hate Brady just from the fact that he was in New England for so long. But at this point now, I really feel like the heartbreaker was the Patriots game. Losing to Tampa, yeah, it sucks, but it's not a divisional game. It's not a conference game. A loss matters. Absolutely, it matters. But I feel like a lot of the fan base and most of the content creators, not that we matter any more than fans, but I feel like the conversation started going on like, hey, we feel better about this team now than we did coming into the game. Like, even though we lost, we feel better about the Bills. And that speaks to what you're talking about, how in the second half, Josh Allen basically said, no, I'm putting this team on my back and I don't care what happens. If I have to win it by myself, I'm gonna try to win it. And to that, he almost did. So I don't know. Like, I feel like if we would have won it, obviously we would be in a better situation here going into this game, this week coming up. But I don't know. I think Tom Brady is Tom Brady. I don't think we're scared of him anymore. It's just a different feeling, and he beat us. But the conversation around Buffalo really was frustration with the referees, and I typically don't like to be like, hey, the refs suck, the refs did this. I don't like to blame things on calls. But there was a couple straight egregious plays. Like Stephon Diggs' jersey was literally like on his kneecap. The guy was pulling it down so long, and they didn't call interference or holding. And then there was another Diggs play, and then they called the interference play against I think Evans was the receiver that was going for it. And it's just, so there was a couple of egregious plays, and it is what it is. It comes down to it, and Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. So you give him the ball in overtime, I don't know how you expect to win that game. So, we got the ball first. We had to do what we had to do. It didn't happen, and we gave Tom Brady the ball. And when that happens in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left or in overtime, you pretty much can kind of just start walking to your car.
Right. It's a good point. So I don't know, man. So, all right, let's get into what you think is going to happen. Obviously, listen, for those of you that don't know, I mean, maybe you're under a rock or something like that. Patriots here at 9-5, Bills at 8-6. If the Bills win, not only do they beat the Patriots, but they also take the tiebreaker, because the tiebreaker is obviously head-to-head, which would be split. And then the second tiebreaker is division record. The Bills have only lost one game in the division. That was the game to the Patriots. So assuming they beat the Jets and then win out, if the Patriots were to win out, the Bills would win the division based on their divisional record. So just so people are aware of that, if they do finish with the same record, then the Bills would win that division, would win the division. If the Patriots were to beat the Bills this weekend, they could still lose another game and then still win the division, because they would have the tiebreaker over the Bills. So they could finish with the same record as the Bills and then still win the division. So obviously a massive game on Sunday. I want to get your prediction, Spence, on what you think is going to happen.
I think it's going to be a close game. I do. I think what's going to end up happening is that we're going to start the game off like we've done all year, where we're going to try to force the run, which I think is a mistake. And I think with the defense that the Patriots have, I think I think you guys have a good defense all around. The pass defense, the rush defense, like you guys just have a good defense. But our strength is passing. And the thing is, I think we need to see Josh Allen just air it out. And at this point, honest to God, this is one of those games where I don't care about him taking chances. I don't care. Like, I want it all on the table. I want it all laid out. I don't think it's going to be a super high scoring game, but I do think we're going to see some really aggressive play calling from the Bills. And Bill Belichick, knowing him, he'll probably take advantage of the aggression. So I do think the Bills are going to win, just based off of what happened a couple weeks ago. We weren't able to really put our offense out like we wanted to. And I don't trust Mac Jones outside, me being an outsider. I don't trust him. So I'm going to go with the Bills winning 24-17. And I'm going to say that, it's going to come down to that last quarter too, though. Like, I don't think it's going to be one of those things where it's like you guys are trying to come back. I think it's going to be one of those things where fourth quarter, last team to have the ball to score it, and I just feel like it's going to go that way. And that's typically how the Bills-Patriots games go now, unless, we had the one blowout last year, but they're tight. They're tight games. It's not going to be one of those things where either side is going to blow it.
Matt Barkley kept one close.
That's true.
They're always close.
Yeah. And a surprising turn of events. Dawn, 27-17 Patriots she picked. She's got Bills next to that 17, so I just figured that she's got the Patriots at 27.
Honest, I don't feel good about this one.
At 17.
I really don't. If we're starting with projection, I don't feel a little queasy about this weekend. I don't know why it is. I didn't feel great. Maybe I was a little too confident, but deep down I didn't feel great about Saturday. I just thought after the
bad vibes game,
things out. But I think Sunday could come down to like 3 or 4 plays. Like, it's going to be that close. And I think this Bills team's rolling. I mean, they brought it up right away, right in the locker room, right? They knew who they had next. And I think for the Patriots, pressure's on them. They know what's at stake, right? You can go from competing for the number 1 seed with 3 games left with Kansas City, or you're in a dogfight for a wild card spot. So I think it's tough.
Yeah. And also I think that I feel like the Bills obviously know more than the fans know it, but the Bills know it more than the fans. Like, it's time. Like, we have to win. So I think that the defense is motivated more than they've ever been. Jordan Poyer was on, I forget what show he was on, Pat McAfee show today, and he was talking about how the defense still feels underappreciated around the league, and they still feel like they're disrespected because there's no attention given to the defense. And Jordan Poyer, first of all, Jordan Poyer for All-Pro, or we gonna freaking riot in Buffalo. Let me just throw that out there. Secondly, I do think that they're going to take it upon themselves to really try their hardest to, I don't want to say because you can't really embarrass at this point, but I think they're going to try. That's going to be their point. Like, they really want to shut down this Patriots offense, and they want to make it look like, okay, yeah, y'all scored 14 points on 200 plus rushing yards on 44 attempts last time. Let's see you do anything. I think that's the attitude that they're going to take into it. But I do think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about it, the Patriots could be going into this game. We don't know about Kendrick Bourne with COVID. He's vaccinated, so he could be back. We don't know, but N'Keal Harry left the game with a head injury, Nelson Aguilar. So you're rolling in with like no wide receivers. Your best blocking wide receivers out, who helps you so much on those outside run plays that the Patriots love to run on third down and not get. But I think the Bills win comfortably in this one. Like, I like dark blue gold 30-17. I'm saying like 20-14, something like that.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, listen, I have a hard time picking against the Patriots. I almost did it last week because I really did not feel good about that. It's funny. You noticed the beard is shaved, and Dark Blue Gold pointed out. I also switched my jersey from Winovich to Barmore. I had bought in Barmore a while ago, and I was like, I'm a kind of a superstitious guy. I'm like, as Michael Scott would say, I'm not superstitious. I'm just kind of stitious. And so, like, I was like, I can't shave before they lose. Like, I can't do that. And then I can't switch the jersey and I was like, nah, all right, I'll do it before. And I was telling my daughter, I'm going to shave before Christmas. And I knew in my head, I'm like, they're going to lose that game to the Colts. I had a feeling they were going to lose that game to the Colts. Now, if everyone's hurt, maybe they lose this game to the Bills. I just think that Bills going to have them up. I think they're going to come in ready. I really do think the Patriots are going to prevail and beat the Bills, but I think the same thing. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I wouldn't be surprised to see, something like 2017 or 21-17, somewhere around there where it's going to be close. Matter of fact, it's going to be some weird score because Bill is going to settle for field goals over and over again, and people are going to be so mad when the Patriots going to end up winning by 3 points, and Bill's going to say, "Eat it," because I set up for field goals, we won the game.
Let's do a friendly bet there. Let's do it
Okay.
like a Twitter profile change or something like that. I don't know. Let's do something like that though. Like, because you seem
Pat's
too
on that
confident.
one.
Like,
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't feel good enough for this game.
It's not you, Spags, and it's not Kiki. Like I heard both of you show some respect for my squad, but Pat was just like, "Nah, we good." Like he just was way too comfortable. So let's. I don't know what you want to do. We can talk about it after. We can talk about it now, but let's come up with something.
I like that. How about this? How about if we really get to grow a mustache? Listen, I work in a school system. I cannot grow a mustache. You can't do that. Okay. So having a mustache is fine. Growing a mustache, not okay. So let's do. How about this? The winner gets to choose the loser's profile picture for a week.
A week?
All right.
Let's go to the end of the season.
Oh my God!
Regular season.
You that comfortable?
Pat,
I'm saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Pat, if you feel so comfortable, that's a good.
All right, wait, hold on. It's still. Let's do
regular season.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Let's do it. That's fine. All right. End of the regular season. Screw it. I'm in.
All right. Let's do it.
Playoffs is too important. Pat needs his face out there. just the regular season.
And I just got professional pictures done, so I got my picture up there nice and pretty. So I'm gonna take that down if we lose, bro. So somebody in the comments said I got to put Belichick on my profile for a week. I don't know if that's what you want or whatever, but I'm that confident. I think the Bills are gonna take it.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to this. Then this will be good.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, Dawn got stuck saying what Kyler is the NFL god for 30 days because of a bet like that. Oh, baby. So yeah, we'll see. Hey, we'll see. It'll be fun. It'll be fun no matter what. So we appreciate it. A nice little. I like a little wager that doesn't cost me anything. I like that.
Yeah.
So that's always
just a little embarrassment. That's all. Brag
right. Exactly. So, all right, Spence, this has been great, man. Thank you so much for coming through. We really appreciate it. But before we let you go, do you play fantasy football?
I do.
Do you want to stay for a 5-minute fantasy vent session? Would you like to do that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Because I sucked this year.
I lost 3 in a row. I choked.
All right.
Second week, I will not be
Bags. Save it, because we do a 5-minute fantasy segment here every year, every week. So we're gonna do our 5-minute fantasy segment. I'm literally going to hit the button, and we're gonna start the 5-minute timer. And I will tell you this: I made the playoffs. I'm in 12 leagues. I made the playoffs in 9 of my 12 leagues. I'm going to win one of my matchups for sure, and 2 of them.
I don't know if you noticed, Pat, because you were talking, but Spence went 12 when you said.
Yeah, I heard him. Yeah, I heard him. Yeah, bro, you see your boy Greg Thompson plays in 24, so he's got me beat.
Yeah. Greg is a little wild.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. So, but it's fun. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I'm in like Scott Fishbowl and all them things. But like, here's the frustrating part, right? I have 2 that I'm like teetering on the edge. One of them I'm done, and I just have to finish in the top 10, and I'm like 8th right now. But no one accounted for these games right now with Stafford and Kupp and Gibson and all these guys, right? And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to end up losing. And then the other one, I'm playing against Gibson, and I'm down by like 8, and I'm playing against Gibson, and I have Goddard and Rashad Penny, and I'm like, I know for sure that I'm going to lose both of them because Goddard and Penny are going to suck, and Gibson's going to be great, and Kupp and Stafford are going to be good. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, it's just going to be so frustrating. And like fantasy, you spend all year long picking guys up for fantasy, getting things right, CeeDee Lamb and, Cordell Patterson and Najee Harris and they all suck in the playoffs. And you're like, God damn it. Like, what the hell happened, dude? And so, that's the way it goes. Kyler Murray.
Gibson has 50 yards and a touchdown already.
Oh, so. And you know what? I think I saw he was out. So, but yeah, 50 yards and touchdown. Like, I'm done. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, see, so my year actually started off horribly. So I had J.K. Dobbins as my running back. I had first of all, let me just tell you, I have 3 running backs on IR. Season IR.
Oh no.
Because I also had and I forgot his name now too. I'm having all these brain farts tonight. The kid down in Jacksonville, that the rookie.
Etienne. Travis
Etienne,
Etienne.
yeah.
Etienne. I had Travis Etienne. I had J.K. Dobbins. Then I also had Ryan Fitzpatrick as like my second quarterback, trying to flip with Josh. He was out. So like it was just my tight end was Waller early on. He came back, but he had some injuries. I had Logan Thomas out. So my year has been basically playing the waivers, and it just hasn't gone good for me.
Yeah, it's rough, dude. It's rough, and it's just so frustrating because you're like, you claw back in, and you fight, and you here and there, and it's like, no, doesn't matter. No, who cares? And so but fantasy's fun, but then it's like sometimes you're like, oh my god. I remember one I'll never forget as long as I live, and you'll remember this. No, I don't. You know what? If you lose, you have to wear a Bills jersey on next week's podcast. I was going to say I don't have a Bills jersey, but I do have a Bills jersey. I have a Drew Bledsoe Buffalo Bills jersey. How about that?
Nice. I got two. I got Cam Newton, the white and the navy.
Ooh,
so I mean, he ain't there no more, but that was the first New England jersey I've ever purchased because I love Cam.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with me. Drew, I bought literally the day it came out in the stores. I bought that one. But I remember one year, Stevie Johnson, and I think it was after he was on the Bills. I forget what team he went after the Bills, but Stevie Johnson, and I was deciding between him and Ace Sanders. You remember Ace Sanders, like the fourth wide receiver for Jacksonville? And I ended up going with Stevie because I'm like, it's Stevie Johnson. He got outscored by Ace Sanders. I lost by like 3 points, and Stevie scored like 4, and the other guy scored like 11. And I was like, if I had started Ace Sanders, I would have won. So the next year, I was like, all right, I'm going to draft Ace Sanders before the season started. He got pulled over for like drugs or something like that. Never played another snap in the NFL ever again. I'm like, are you kidding me? This guy, dude, never played another snap. So that's, what are you gonna do? So another one, dark blue gold, Jerry Jeudy. Never have I been so wrong about a player. I was all in on Jerry Jeudy this year, and he sucked. And it's not his fault, because the quarterback situation in Denver is just
the quarterback play, and then also coming back from injuries like that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's always the second year back from an injury that you really kind of get the player back. So and then that's the reason why. So the league I was just telling you about, it's a dynasty league. So I'm actually still nervous to have J.K. Dobbins next year and Travis Etienne, because both of them had torn ACLs, and it's not going to be fun. So I don't know, man.
Was Etienne Achilles? I feel like Etienne was the Achilles, wasn't it?
No,
it was Achilles. I don't know why it was ACL.
It was his foot. I think it was similar thing that Cam had.
Liz Frank.
Right.
Okay. Liz Frank. But either way, so
it sucks.
Either way, it's not great.
I started out 6-2. I've lost 7 straight games. I can't buy a win. Like COVID, ACLs, Achilles, like whatever you can think of. Somebody on my team's got it.
Is COVID not not to get into the political side of the conversation, but is that not like the worst thing that could ever happen to football right now? It's like random weeks, like right now, we see Cole Beasley out. You guys have a couple players out.
Over. That's all right. But no, keep going. You're right.
And going into this game, Cole Beasley was somebody I was going to start. I have to put him on a bench.
Right.
So it's like,
I lost by 2 points last week, and Keenan Allen was out with COVID. So if I had him in, I would have.
But you're right. But see, this is the thing about it, about Spence, is that like that's why they went to not testing these vaccinated players, because they're like, we just got to get through the season. We just got to get through the season and be done with it. And like, okay, if you got it and you're asymptomatic, like whatever, you're playing. Like, we don't care. You know what I mean? Like, and that's dangerous and not good. But like, they're just like, screw it. We're gonna get through the season. And
they have TV contracts to uphold.
We can argue about the merits of that, but that's the truth. Like, that's just what they're doing. So, is it the right thing? I don't know what that, but it's like, hey, you got to get paid, right? So. But it is what it is. So, all right, thank you so much. Now we're done. We got a little vent session out, fantasy football vent session. So, we appreciate you coming out. Before we let you go, though, before we end the show, you got to kind of, plug yourself to everyone where they can read you and see you and hear you and everything else.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me again. This was a pleasure, man. I really enjoy your content anyway. So to be able to do this with you guys has been fun. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at JSpenceTheKing. My show Code of Conduct goes live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I had another show on Wednesdays with my man Joe Miller Wired. That is the Hump Day Hotline, and then on Saturdays I also have the Chop Up with my crew. So I got a lot going on, and I actually just got a hip hop show starting up with some people too. So I'm doing too much. So follow me on Twitter. You'll see everything that I got going on. And hey, again, thank you guys. Love you guys so much for this. Good luck this weekend, but not too much.
Yeah, same to you. My cousin's a rapper. I'm wearing his hat. I'll send you his content if you got a hip hop show.
Link me.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on. Good luck.
Merry Christmas.
Sunday.
Merry Christmas to everyone out there, and to you as well, Spence, and you guys as well. And we'll talk to you guys next week.